Hello, this is our sixth episode of Ancestral Healing with Alida, and today we are going to talk about inner child healing or inner child wound. And today I have a very special guest with me that is Nicole Henley. She's my friend, but she also does everything. She has all these wonderful services to go deep to the root cause of your issues. But one thing that she does is integrative somatic trauma therapy. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Alida. I'm so excited to be here with you.
I'm so excited too because we cannot
I
meet
know.
in person for some reason.
It's mom life.
Yeah, it's mom's life. So today we're going to talk about inner child healing. And I think that there are different things that give us insight about where the present issues that we have. And one is that from our conception up until we were very early in life, 7, 8 years old. So for me, what is inner child healing is a way to address those needs that we had when we were little that we cannot even remember because we really, if I ask you, so what were you wearing the day of your birthday when you turned 2 years old? We won't remember things, but the memory is still with us, right? In our physical body, in our emotions. So those needs that weren't satisfied resurface now that we are older or during our life if we don't pay attention to that. So have you had experience doing some type of inner child healing?
Every day, all day, every day, I am constantly trying to meet the needs of my inner child. And it's been a journey for me for at least 10 years, really since I started getting into being and living inside my body almost full time. And I was just saying before you started recording, almost all of my clients are on some kind of inner child healing journey, right? And it's a constant awareness of what's happening. So the minute you start that inner child healing journey, like it's always there.
Yeah. So for me, we have different wounds, right? Well, I don't know. Like we have something that we are strength and something that we are not that strength about. So maybe we are not going to call it wounds. But the first one that I want to talk about is guilt. And I have someone that is very, very close to me that, for example, guilt is a person that don't ask for things. So the person is dragging in the floor and just feel embarrassed for ask for help or to receive, right? Uh, and I had that issue with my husband actually because in Christmas in United States is different than my Christmas in Peru, at least in the 90s. Were you just gonna receive a flower or just one present, something, right? So he loves to give presents, but he doesn't like to receive presents, right? So do you have something to say about that?
I literally just experienced this with myself last week. This might be too much information, maybe not though. So I just got an intrauterine device put in, the copper one. And that was a month ago. And, they talk about the side effect potentially, but I had no idea what I was going to experience. And there was a day last week where I was watering my plants outside. Everything was fine. I walked back into my house and all of a sudden I felt like I was in labor, like active labor. And I've had 2 natural childbirths, so I know exactly what active labor feels like. I was on the ground, like in basically labor pains, freaking out. And my partner is at my house, in my kitchen, walking around on the phone, talking to his brother. And I am just like in agony and pain, couldn't see, wanted to vomit. You know what labor feels like, wanted to vomit, thought I was going to pass out, needed a heating pad, and was trying to army crawl across my kitchen, or across my living room into my kitchen to try to pull myself up to do it myself. While there is a able-bodied human being in my house. And finally, I'm sitting there in pain, in pain, in pain. And I start going, hey, hey, like really quietly, right? He can't hear me because he's talking on the phone. And I was like, hey, I think I need some help. But this is 15 minutes later.
So it was hard for you to ask for that help.
All the time. But in that moment, it really like hit me. So it's so funny that this is the first thing we're talking about right now. I legitimately have just been, and it's something I talk to my clients about all the time, the inability to receive, especially with help, right? Can give it, can give it, can give it, can give it, but won't ask for it because I'm a burden.
But there is so Bert Hellinger is the person who created officially family constellations, right? And he talks how there is this, you need this perfect balance, especially with your partner, between giving and receiving. That's why, but it's not like so, like if I give you $5, you give me $5 back, right? But it's something to pay attention to. So for me, for example, because I'm not adjusted to receive 30 presents in Christmas, like I even feel actually bad. Like it's so poor, my country, right? Like, so I count 30. Now I owe you 30 items, right? To Carlos. But there are people that is the opposite. There is people that are asking you for help every single second. And that's also is hard, right? Because if you're going to give too much or you're going to receive too much, there is always going to be an imbalance. And yeah, so that's something to pay attention to. The other one is the abandonment wound. I think that one of the first characteristics of abandonment wound is the dependency. I need to be with someone. I don't want to be alone. Actually, I'm afraid to be alone, right? It makes me scared. What do you want to tell us about that?
I always speak in personal experience, always, because that's the only thing I can do. But I'm adopted. And so the abandonment lives in there. And I've had to work through, gosh, that's the one that I work through the most, I think. And it always shows up in relationships, and even in work, right? Like whenever I think about raising my prices, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to lose my clients. If I do something for me, I'm going to lose my client. With friends, I used to like hide parts of myself because I thought that if I was my full self, then they were going to leave. With partners, there's always this like weird paranoia that like if they're not there, something else is happening. Like the fear of the leaving has always been such a big thing because I shouldn't say I've never. I used to think that I wasn't good enough. And so I had to be something different in order to be this person that someone wanted to have.
You know what? My dad, he just passed in May 28th. And the first thing that came to my mind when my niece, she texted me. So I knew that he wasn't doing good because they did a bad medical procedure 2 days before he passed. So she texted me and I came back from my daughter's art show or something. And I saw he just passed. You know what? I can visualize myself being 4 years old, and the only thing that I want to scream is like, Dad, don't leave me. But it wasn't me 42. It was 4 years. Like I can see my afro. So, but then I have been thinking about my relationships, Nicole. And I always, actually with my husband now, he always needs to leave.
Right.
And he always needs to come back. And the boyfriend, well, I don't know if my husband will listen to me, but he knows this story, is that my first boyfriend, that I thought that I would stay with him forever, he wasn't living in the same city that I was living. So that was the beginning of our relationship. But also then he moved from Peru to Europe. So I always had this, like, I need to experience again the abandonment, right? I need to experience it again over and over up until I feel it. And it's just like this pain in the heart, in the chest, is just consuming. Is the abandonment good? And I can see, for example, with my friends, how you experience the abandonment good is in a different ways, right? Because some people don't want to be alone. Some people they are afraid of things, or some people they need to be in a relationship every single day of their life. So they break up with someone today, and tomorrow they need to find someone else. So it's a little complex.
It is. There was a period of time where I felt like I was better off alone, like no friends, no relationships. And I realized that it was because, so I never had pictures of myself as a child, like a baby, 2 and a half. And at 13 years old, my grandmother in Portugal, because that's where my family is from, sent me a bunch of pictures of me when I was a baby. And in every single picture, I'm alone. I'm not being held. Like, there's no pictures of me and my mom, no pictures of me and my dad. It's me in a car seat, it's me on the couch, it's me on the floor as a baby, alone. And I realized in the last few years, probably 2 or 3 years ago, when I was looking at those pictures again, I was like, oh my God, this is why I spent so much time thinking that I needed to be alone. And that blew my mind. And then there was a period of time where I really needed to be with people all the time. And so I've been able to kind of find that balance and really learn to, like, enjoy my alone time and love, honestly.
I'm sorry.